We made it.
We made it. Here we are.
Oh my God.
It's late, but we're good. We're rolling.
Yes. This is the late night edition.
The nightcap.
Of the Sportaholics, man. It's only fitting. No Monday Night Football.
Right.
The stage is set, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into all of that, man. I'm excited.
Both of us know I would be stressing if there was some football on right now.
For sure. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Welcome to the show.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, another live edition.
Yes, sir. So, and we added second camera.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
We here, man. Welcome to the den. I don't know. We got to give this a name, a title.
We'll come up with a name. It doesn't have to be right now, but we'll think on it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, man, let's go ahead and jump into the show. Let's jump into the show here, man. All right. So for you guys that are new, we are the Sportaholics. My name is Russ. I'm the host. That's my guy, Peyton. He's the expert. Before he even says it, he's going to say I'm also an expert. But
every time,
because
it's true.
I'm here to just make sure that he gets all of his thoughts out and keep the show rolling at the end of the day, man. If you're not already, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at the Sportaholics. We love to continue the conversation with you guys in our comment section. And if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, then what are they doing, Peyton?
I don't know.
Yeah, man. What are you really waiting for, man? Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, like I said before, and join us on our lives. They're very sporadic right now. We need to come up with a schedule, and we do apologize for that, but
it's the new year.
Yeah,
we're settling in.
Yeah,
we'll get to it.
So you guys lock in, man. The playoff field is set. It is Black Monday in the NFL, and for those who don't know what that means people are losing their job. It's not like Black Friday where everybody's celebrating, trying to catch a good deal. It's kind of the opposite. Like everybody's, checking their phone. Everybody's on high alert at this point right now. So Peyton, how you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling great, man. Just excited for another edition of the show. How about yourself, man?
I am good. And fortunately for me, I'm not one of those coaches in the NFL on the hot seat right now. So I think my seat is pretty protected. So
I hear that.
Yeah, man. And we'll get to that in a minute. But anything you want to get off your chest about this past weekend and things of that nature before we actually get the show started?
I don't think so, man. I don't believe I do, especially because I want to hear what you have to say about your Miami sports teams. I know we're hitting that right off the top, and I don't want to get you into a bad mood, but I'm just excited to hear what you have to say. That's why I bring it up.
Oh, my gosh. You see my guy back there, Sebastian. He's holding it down. I put it out there publicly this weekend. I'm about to quit Miami, bro.
I won't let him. I'm going to keep him loyal. Don't worry.
You don't have a choice. But we'll see where we are coming into next season for college, NFL, basketball. I think I might ride with the soccer team in Miami right now. They I don't know. They have a little bit more promise than any other sport in Miami. So I'm going to get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
But that's just a small teaser on how I feel about Miami. I think I'm really about to give up, man. So let's go ahead and jump into Black Monday.
Sure.
Like I said before, if you guys don't know, that's really where coaches and GMs are getting fired. All right, and teams are moving on, looking on into the next season. And most of these teams have not made the playoffs, so they're trying to figure out what they're going to do going into the next season. So off the top, what's the most surprising fire for you so far?
I don't want to say surprising, but the most disappointing would have to be Doug Peterson with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, okay.
Because there are teams in the league with worse records this year, and those franchises decided to retain their head coach, i.e. Brian Daboll for the Giants.
Yep.
Possibly Antonio Pierce for the Raiders.
For now, I will say that for now, because Daboll, I don't know if he's locked up yet.
I don't know. I think the owner came out and said that the GM and coach are back.
Okay.
Yeah, for the Giants.
Okay.
Who am I forgetting? Kevin Stefanski for the Browns. They went 3-14.
Right.
So I just look at Doug Peterson. I see a Super Bowl winning coach.
Yep.
He's got a Super Bowl in his bag. In 2 of his 3 seasons with the Jags, they had a winning record, and he is always on the cutting edge, innovative side of the offensive ball.
Yeah.
The offensive side of the ball, excuse me. So I just didn't really understand that one. I don't know if it was the most surprising. What say you?
Man, if you really ask me, the most surprising firing right now that comes to mind is the other head coach that got fired yesterday, actually, after their game, and Gerard Mayo for the New England Patriots, man. I'm surprised that this guy got released by his team. He came in and he wasn't given a lot of chips to play with, and he did whatever he had to do. They had a lot of injuries, and not only that, they had nothing on their roster. You know, all their draft picks in most recent years had they hadn't been producing. They so-called say they found their quarterback in Drake May, but we don't know what kind of promise. Now, I will say, my guy Joe Milton, he did his thing in the game.
He did,
and you know they handled business on Sunday, and a lot of people were probably unhappy with the fact that they tanked the tank. I don't know if that makes sense, but a lot of the fans were looking forward to having that first pick in the NFL draft. So to go out and show that he's a fighter, maybe that's another reason why he got fired. Maybe there's an underlying story there. Maybe Robert Kraft wanted them to lose that game so they could have the first pick. Maybe there's more underlying stories on why Gerard Mayo got fired, but this is also a player who did a lot for the organization in his time there, not only as a coach, but as a player. So I'm a little confused. I thought that he would have a little bit more leeway in the handling of the head coach position. But all of this means is maybe Kraft had his eyes on another coach at the end of the day. So I don't know what kind of
maybe Mike Vrabel. That's what I'm thinking. He also has history with the organization, but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they're basically the same player. Like, you know what I mean? One just has a little bit more coaching experience. So
I'm glad you brought Gerard Mayo's name up because he was not dealt a great hand.
Not at all. Not at all.
And he only got 1 year to show for it. So, and Rob Gronkowski, I don't know if you saw that clip of him. He was pretty upset with this move as well.
Yeah, I heard him say a couple things after the game, but go ahead, finish your thought.
Well, yeah, really just capitalizing on what you had alluded to, the fact that he wasn't given a great roster to begin with. They hadn't had successful drafts in the past. Drake May didn't start the whole season. If we all remember the first 5 weeks of the year, he didn't play.
Right.
So I didn't think that was very fair. I hope he gets another shot at a job as he deserves one. Yeah, man.
And while you brought up Antonio Pierce has job security going into the next season, I think, one, Pierce, he wrapped up last season as well. So he had that. And they seen how the team, kind of corralled around him as a head coach. So it only makes sense for him to stay on. And I think that Gerard Mayo also provides that type of caliber as a head coach. This is a coach that you would assume players get hyped to play for. So we'll see what the Patriots organization has to do. But ever since Brady has left, Bill Belichick has been out of there. And honestly, it's not to say for anything, but if Belichick got fired, why would we think Gerard Mayo would be secure in his job?
That's a great point.
So but for me, that would be the most surprising firing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So on the opposite side of that, are you surprised that any coach that maintained their job? So you did mention Daboll.
Yeah, Daboll. I'm not surprised that he retained it. I am a little surprised that Stefanski for the Browns retained his job. Just with that record, and knowing the Browns' history, I like him as a coach. But I figured with that franchise, they would be a little impulsive and be willing to fire a guy that just went 3-14.
Bro, you know what's crazy about that? I don't think it's on Stefanski at all. I think it's on the GM, and I think it's on the owner for locking in the Watson deal.
Right.
And they don't have any money in order to allocate to any other position based on the fact that all the funds are locked up and in the quarterback position. And the quarterback who played 5 games for the team. So I honestly, if anything, the GM needs to move, and the ownership needs to reevaluate themselves and what they're doing with their money, man. And I'm not one to count another person's pocket, but by all means, man, that right there doesn't make any sense. There now, I will say there are a lot of owners who I question more than head coaches that I question going into this offseason.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to take a look at it, by all means, man, I would definitely point out the Miami Dolphins. I will point out
New York Jets.
The Jets.
Yep.
I will point out the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
And I would how could I forget America's team?
The
Dallas Cowboys.
That's a great point.
Right. So
Yeah.
those 4 owners right there, like, I would hate
do better.
Yeah. I would hate to be in their shoes, and the return on an investment and where they put their funds have not panned out to be good investments. So they need to do better, and the GMs also need to do better in those situations. So yeah, man.
Yeah. And it all starts from the top.
Yeah.
So it's no coincidence, when you look at a division like the AFC North, who's at the top again this year?
Yeah.
The Ravens and Steelers.
So if you don't mind, I do want to stay in Miami since I did bring them up.
Go ahead.
And I'm just gonna I have nothing prepared. I just have pure frustration.
I'll try to help you out along the way, but go ahead.
I have pure frustration in the Miami Dolphins. And we have cheers and jeers a little bit later, but I want to give big ups to the Denver Broncos for going out and handling business, unlike another team in the NFL who had hopes of getting in the playoffs in the Miami Dolphins. By all means, you guys, I don't know what y'all doing down there, man. We got Tyreek Hill verbally saying and to reporters on camera that he's out. Okay, now he can't just walk away. He's not going into free agency, but by all means, like he's demanding a trade right here, right now. All right. So one, I will say for Tyreek Hill, you had a very underwhelming season, and it's not his fault, right? It's not his fault because he never had a consistent quarterback that played a game. Tua Tagovailoa, we locked him into a new deal, but this guy missed 7 games this season. We're never going to get anywhere. Now, I will big up Mike McDaniels for being able to win 8 games with the roster that he did have, right? That defense, for all the heavy hitters, we got Agba, we got Campbell, we got Jalen Ramsey,
Javon Holland.
We got all of these names on the defense, but we can't stop a nosebleed. Mm-hmm. By all means, Miami, y'all need to reevaluate yourself, man. And like I said before, I'm so ready to quit Miami sports because let's stay in Miami. We got turmoil going on in the locker room down in Miami with the Miami Heat. We got Jimmy Butler also wanting to get out of Miami. Like, what are we really doing? So going back to, he's not the owner, but the president and Pat Riley, some of these big wigs who are Pat Riley's established. Let me not say that, but he's also seasoned. I don't want to even say seasoned. Like, he has his ways, right? Pat Riley's been in the NBA, involved in the NBA since the 70s. Right. So the new innovative ways that are happening across the board, like Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, like, these people need to step out of their own way. I'm going to tie it back in, right? Jerry Jones, you're making Kraft, you're making decisions based off of the past, so it's just hard for me to understand like what's going on. Half of these people need to get out of their own way, right? Mm-hmm. And Ross might be the youngest out of all of those names that I mentioned, right? So by all means, like, Miami, y'all got to do better. Tyreek Hill, you're so right for wanting to get out of Miami. We got to get a quarterback. I think it's really time to move on from Tua Tagovailoa. And I'm saying this as a Dolphin fan. He has shown promise, but he also has shown that we cannot rely on him, right? So as a Miami fan, basketball, football, my 2 favorite sports, I'm hurt, right? And I think that's where I'm coming from right here, right now. Is a level
you
of
had
frustration.
to get it off your chest, man. And I'll say my 2 cents about it. As far as the Tyreek Hill situation goes,
Go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought. Because I didn't talk about the guy that's sitting over my shoulder and Sebastian. But I'll get to them. Right. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
So as far as the Tyreek Hill situation goes, if I'm the Dolphins front office and the Dolphins brass, I'm saying, okay, you want out? Let's let you get out.
Okay.
Let's trade you and see what we can get for you, because they're already paying that position a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the contending teams in the AFC, we've talked about this before. The Buffalo Bills traded Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
They won their division.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen teams, the Kansas City Chiefs, move off of Tyreek Hill, win Super Bowls. So there are some holes on that roster that you alluded to. Let's shore up the offensive line for the pocket passer that Tua is. Make sure he's protected if, in fact, he is the quarterback that's going to stay there for the long haul.
Right.
But that's my point there. They just paid Jalen Waddle, so you're already paying that position handsomely. Okay, so my other thing with the Miami Heat, I don't know what's going on there. All I know is that the NBA is too transactional right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
a lot of crybabies in the NBA right now.
I never thought I'd see the day where Jimmy Butler was actively seeking a trade. Like I figured he'd be – I know he's jumped around the league, but I figured he'd be more of a loyal guy at this point in his career. How could you not be happy?
We've never seen him act out like this before. Right.
Yeah.
He's never been one to ask for a trade. And you're right. You're right about that. Like, he's never been one to ask for a trade. He's never been one to go to the media and show his disappointment. But that goes to show you that he's at some point, somewhere, there's a disconnect between him and the front office. Mm-hmm. So that has a lot to say to do with it as well. So,
but that was just my 2 cents. I'm glad you got that off your chest, and I got to say, it was beautiful to listen to.
I'm not done.
You were speaking from the heart.
I'm not done.
Oh,
okay. The University of Miami, man. You guys are a disgrace, man. All right, we lost to Georgia Tech. I was okay with that. We lost to Syracuse. I wasn't okay with that. I was not okay with that. We had a lot of holes on our team. The offensive side of the ball wasn't the hole, okay? Special teams and the defensive side of the ball, major gaps on our football team, right? So what do we do now, right? I like Cristobal. Don't get it twisted, but he's unproven as a coach, right? We really need to figure out something. And this is like going back to my main point. I'm ready to give up on Miami sports because every time that we have some promise, we figure out a way to shoot ourselves in the foot. And I am not ready to sit around. And I would be more comfortable with being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan because I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get 9 wins. I'm going to get 8 wins every year. Every year. With Miami, you go from 11 wins to 8 wins and under 500. That doesn't make sense. All right. We showed earlier in the season that we have no depth. Okay. For the University of Miami, the same thing. Early in the season, we had a lot of defensive backs that went down. We lost almost every defensive back in our locker room. All right. We had freaking second line kick return people back there in the secondary. Like we didn't know what we were doing. So by all means, like, we got to get it together. And Peyton, you say you're going to keep me loyal.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best, people. Don't worry.
But unless we have a great offseason for these 3 teams, as well as in season for the Miami Heat, because for some strange reason, they're still doing well. All right. They're still doing well this season. Mm-hmm. With everything that's going on,
all the turmoil.
But depending on what we get back from Jimmy Butler and how we get him out of there, I don't know if I can stick around for that because the season we could either be a play-in team and lose in the first round or not even make the playoffs, or we cannot make the play-in. Like, there's no telling what's gonna happen. So I'm sitting back. I'm gonna wait.
Yeah,
but that's enough of my Miami sports, man.
You had to get it off your chest. I'm glad you did. And
people.
Maybe this will be a cold take for the future. I'm just going to go ahead and predict that Butler does not get traded. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Pat Riley doesn't seem like an apologetic type.
He
doesn't seem he said what he said, and he always mean what he say. So if Jimmy Butler's showing frustration, Pat Riley's showing frustration, they're openly making social media posts that says we're open to all trades.
And then they suspended him, didn't they?
Yeah, 7 games.
Yeah.
They don't want him in the locker room.
Man.
And I don't think that says anything to his leadership. I think that this just shows his frustration and the frustration of the front office. So
I'll just go out on a limb there. Maybe it's because I'm hoping for it and
Yeah.
I just see Jimmy Butler finishing his career there, but I'll go ahead and go out on a limb there and stand up for my guy.
Okay.
I've been a big Jimmy Butler fan for a while, so
okay, all right,
Yeah.
I'll take
let's
it.
see
man.
what happens.
I'll take it. All right, let's go ahead and jump into these segments, man.
All right,
I'm
let's do it.
I'm a woosah. I'm gonna let you go ahead and lead the next segment while I sit over here and decompress.
All right, so I'm going to take some time here. We're going to get to our cold takes, but we're also getting to our successful takes, and we're doing the full season edition. You know, the NFL season just ended, the regular season that be. So why not look back at our takes from the year? Some of my worst takes. We'll start with that, okay?
Okay, all right.
So how about number 1, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets?
Man, we're on opposite sides of the fence here.
We
because,
are. You got that one right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Go ahead, bro. Like what?
So I was just talking to a buddy about the Jets. He's a big Jets fan.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and the one thing that kept coming up in my mind was, yeah, you've got Aaron Rodgers. You've got some nice pieces on the outside like Garrett Wilson, like Devontae Adams. I know they traded for him mid-season. Even some good pieces on the offensive line. Tyron Smith's an older guy. They drafted Olu Fashanu. There was never an offensive identity, and that goes to the demise of Aaron Rodgers, to be honest with you, because he wanted to run the show. It was going to be his offense. Nathaniel Hackett, the OC at the beginning of the year, that was his guy from Green Bay.
Right.
So I think there was a little bit of a power struggle there, and I think Aaron just took the reins and said, this is going to be my show, my team. I don't think you can win in the NFL that way. And that was a lesson for me to learn.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the most important addition for the Jets this offseason, and I don't want to go too far into this, I'm just going to quickly say it, would be their next play caller.
Yeah.
They have to find that offensive identity if, in fact, Aaron comes back and all that stuff. So there's one cold take. You got anything to say on that, or you want to move on?
Well, yeah, just the fact that, you know, I saw it coming, one, because Aaron Rodgers wasn't in the locker room when his team needed him the most, and that was in the offseason. You got to build rapport. You can't just sit around and think that, oh, I'm Aaron Rodgers. This is a new team. I didn't play at all last season. I played, 4 snaps last season, and I'm just going to come back in here and I'm going to be okay. Whether you're on the field training or you're in the classroom teaching the younger guys where they need to be, when they need to be there, you need to be there. And you can't communicate that without you being there. So I thought that was one thing, and I get that he's a seasoned vet, but no seasoned vet. Tom Brady never did that. The greats never did that. You know what I mean? Brett Favre, you couldn't tell me that Brett Favre was missing voluntary OTAs, right? So going into the back end of his career, Brett Favre was still able to perform, and Aaron Rodgers has said that this is his role model, following him on his career path from Green Bay to the Jets and so on and so forth, right? So this was very predictable, and I think everybody thought that Aaron Rodgers was gonna just come in and shine because he's a 3-time MVP.
Yeah.
So
I believe that's right.
You know, so I this was very predictable for me. So
you saw it coming. You had the 2020 vision on this one.
I'm just a little disappointed in the Jets organization for allowing that to happen. But if you think about it, on paper, just like the Miami Dolphins, this is another team who you would think that would shine, but they were not able to kind of put it together because they never had control of the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. I got 2 more cold takes on the year.
Yep.
Both of my favorite teams in the NFL. And I know that's kind of weird. Usually people just have one favorite team. I just like to say one in each conference.
Yeah.
Okay, the Jags and the Saints. Let's start with the Jaguars. 4-13, terrible season, but this is about ownership again, because I think this is an impulsive move to fire Doug Peterson.
Yep.
And I know we talked about it at the top of the show, but again, a Super Bowl winning coach that he had won 2 or 3 seasons there, 9-8, 9-8, made it to the playoffs and won a playoff game in one of those years. And I just like his command in the locker room. And let's be honest, the quarterback couldn't stay healthy, and that's partially on the quarterback.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can pin that on Doug Peterson.
Or the people around the quarterback that's supposed to protect the
him.
quarterback.
That too. And where does that start?
With the front office.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because Trent Baalke, the general manager, was able to retain his position as GM. So I didn't love that move. But, with all that said, getting back to my original point, that was a cold take by me. I thought the Jaguars would seize the moment and have a good season. They didn't. And then lastly, the Saints.
Hold on, let me stop you before you move on to the States. I did want to say this one thing. This was another team that I could see not really developing into what everybody else wanted them to see. And going back to your front office, right? They have a lot going on within that organization. So I could see this happening, right? One, they put a lot of faith in Trevor Lawrence. Nothing against Trevor Lawrence, but he's mid. Okay. Everybody wants to think that he's this great white hope or this savior for the organization. By all means, this guy is not gonna pan out to what people want him to be. Maybe if he went to another team with a better front office, but they have everything going on. We know that they're potentially going to move next season. They got all these stadium accusations and everything going on. They did nail one pick in the draft, which was Brian Thomas Jr. Mm-hmm. This guy is a stud, regardless of who's back there in the pocket. So by all means, they did land that, but everybody gets lucky once in a while, right? So I will say, like, anybody could have predicted if you were looking from a bird's eye view rather than sitting, eye level. So this was another team that I could have predicted happening. And I think I mentioned this in the beginning of the season as well. I didn't expect them to kind of succeed this season also. But my most surprising upset this year is the team that you're about to mention, which is the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. So I let you go on about the Jags there for a minute. I'm going to say something, and I'm not going to let you rebuttal. Okay?
Take off. I have nothing to say about the Jags, just like they have.
Is there a chance that Trevor Lawrence has a Sam Darnold type of career trajectory? And I said I wasn't going to let you rebuttal, but I asked you anyway.
You asked me a question. I didn't know if I should talk or not. Like, what?
All I'm saying is, a lot of people see Trevor Lawrence's potential. I just talked about how I don't trust the Jags ownership, their front office to some extent. I don't know if he stays there for the long term. I hope he does, because I think he's found a home there and I think he likes it there. That's from what I can tell from afar. I'm just saying I'm not going to give up on him yet. I'm just going to hold out hope, and that'll be another cold take for me in 2, 3, 4 years. We'll see what happens.
I will say this, guys. I know Peyton very, very personally.
He does.
And he's a optimistic person. So he likes to see everything with heart eyes, right? Yeah, I like to cut through the fat. Right. You know what I mean? I'm more of that.
I'll give you that. That's very true.
That eyebrow emoji. He's more of the heart eye emoji, and he wants to see the positive in everybody. Right. Now, he has been right in the past, but right here, right now, I think that he's now the question.
It's going to age as a cold take.
The question that you asked,
right,
is what I was alluding to. You said you're not gonna let me rebuttal, but I'm gonna take my rebuttal, right?
You should go ahead.
So the question that you asked me is, does he have a Sam Darnold trajectory? One, Sam Darnold's a journeyman. Like, this man has been all over the place. But I do think that new scenery will probably fit him best. Now, where is a question that I cannot answer. One, I think that he needs to handle his health and get stronger. He's a very scrawny quarterback, if you ask me. He don't have much meat on his bones. And we've seen several quarterbacks get injured who are smaller quarterbacks, and one Tua Tagovailoa. And then like quarterbacks like Josh Allen rarely get hurt. Right. Patrick Mahomes, he gets injured,
but he still plays.
He gets hurt, but he doesn't get injured.
There you go.
All right. So these quarterbacks are quite beefier. You know what I mean? So if he wants to be amongst that conversation, he might need to put on 30 pounds.
I will say,
okay, 20 might be realistic.
I'd have more conviction in my take if Doug Peterson was still the head coach. And I know that might sound crazy, but
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think that you fire a championship caliber head coach just like that.
Right.
But like I said, that front office has a lot going on, and
Yep. But we'll leave it at that.
No, forget that.
Okay.
Here, and I'm gonna say something, and I'm not gonna let you rebuttal.
Okay.
All right. So you fire a championship head coach, right? What's the next move? What are you doing for Trevor Lawrence and his career, right? Or do you expect him to stay there? What are you doing for Brian Thomas Jr. and his career? What are you doing for Etienne and his career? These guys were hoping to be lifelong Jaguars, but you're not allowing them that opportunity to be successful in the NFL unless you bring in another championship caliber head coach. So who's going to be your next head coach? I have no idea, but with Doug Peterson out the door, I don't know if you can easily replace that.
Great take. Love that. Yep. All right, so we'll move on to the last cold take, and then finally we'll get to the successful takes. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I'll be quick with this one.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, the New Orleans Saints. Let's be honest about the Saints. They've had Derek Carr for 2 years. How many times has he been on the injury report? A lot.
Okay. I couldn't answer that question. I was trying to think, but I couldn't answer that question.
And that's not a shot at him. He hadn't been that injured throughout his tenure with the Raiders. There were a couple of nicks and bruises here and there, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And I think moving forward for the Saints, they need a true evaluation of the other quarterbacks that they have in that quarterback room. So I'm not calling for Derek Carr's head. I'm just saying
sounds like it.
It kind of sounds like it.
It sounds like it. It sounds like you want them to move on from Derek Carr.
Here's what I'll say. The Broncos moved on from Russell Wilson. He found a new home and became a little more productive than he was in the past. I just think
this would be Derek.
Fit didn't work.
This would be Derek Carr's third team if he did move on from the Saints?
Third team. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if he finds much success there.
I don't know if he does either. And I really like the guy. I was high on him. For whatever reason, it just didn't work out with the Saints, and that's where it starts. So that's where I'm going with this.
I will say he does pass the eyeball test. He
does healthy.
Yes. He got that buzz cut. He got those crystal blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're blue or green. I don't know what his eyes are, but I know they're like a super light color. And then he has that face that just looks like it's like always mugging. It's just, it looks like he has that grit to him. And when he plays the game and he's healthy, it shows.
Yeah.
And like you said, I did like him in Vegas, but he hasn't shown up as of recent. But didn't the Saints have a pretty decent season last year?
9-8.
It was decent. There were spurts
in a bad division,
right? So, it was spurts. So,
all right, we'll move on from the cold takes. I want to get to the successful ones.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
let's talk about it.
So, first of all, how about? And I don't say this with much happiness. I know you're going to get a kick out of this, but what about the downfall of the Dallas Cowboys? We both saw that coming. Okay, we predicted that they were not going to make the playoffs when everyone else thought that they were. And I'm serious, Vegas had them as a playoff team.
Yeah.
And we said, no, they're not going to be a good team.
Hey, listen, when you put your money in Dak Prescott, everything else is going to fall behind. And listen, they had one wide receiver.
Right.
They had no running back.
Yep.
They had
the offensive line was decimated.
They had an average to high end offensive line. The defensive side of the ball, which was a letdown this year, should have been more top tier.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
but you know what? They lost a great coach in Dan Quinn. Who let's get to my next successful take. The Commanders were predicted to win 6.5 games. I predicted they would make the playoffs. Here they are.
Yeah, they have arrived. And your guy, Jaden Daniels, did an amazing job. Might be Rookie of the Year.
There you go.
And congratulations for calling that one out.
Week. Yeah, man.
And I will say you are a studier of the tape. That's why I call you the expert, because you do study the tape and you do
We both have a great eye for it.
You do analyze these players. I think you're more keen. So I lock into positions that I play, which would be running back, which would be offensive line and linebackers.
Yeah.
So I do kind of specialize in watching and understanding the talent there. But for you, like, you're all over the place, man. You know these offensive linemen, you know quarterbacks and how they will turn out in the NFL. So I have to give you your flowers on that, man.
I appreciate that,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Yeah. We both have a great eye for the game.
Yeah,
and
man.
then last successful take, I think we both like Caleb Williams, but we knew that during the offseason, the Bears were getting too much hype.
Yes.
You can go back and look at our tapes.
Yep.
They were predicted to win 8.5 games. We both said under.
Yep.
And here they are at 5-12.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It was just too much. Let's not call it pressure. It was just too much attention on Caleb Williams, and just like Aaron Rodgers, so here.
You know what's funny about that?
Go ahead.
I comped them.
Yeah.
My comp for Caleb coming out was Aaron.
Right. But here's the thing about it, though. You have a baby and you have an old person. Neither one of those people you can rely on. Like you can't rely on a baby to drive you anywhere. And if you want to ride with an old person, by all means, it's going to take you 5 years to get where you want to go. Right. So by all means, like, you can't really rely on those people. So Caleb Williams, while he shows promise and has room for growth, it was just not time for him to have that. So the rookie quarterbacks that shine the most, one who should have been playing a lot sooner than he should have,
I know where you're going with this one,
which was Michael Penix Jr. That guy should have been playing a long time ago.
Yeah.
But because you're relying on old people to get you where you want to go, it's going to take you forever. All right. They got to go to the bathroom. And while you give your halftime speech, they probably in the bathroom. Never mind. Anyway, so you got Aaron Rodgers. I don't know who Aaron Rodgers' backup is, because they put so much chips into him. Like they had no choice but to put him out there, right? And the same thing, I said this earlier. I said this with Atlanta. I was like, you have to make Kirk Cousins the highest paid backup in the NFL. If Michael Penix goes out there and fumbles the ball, you have Kirk Cousins to fall back on. But right now, you can't. He's far removed from you like that days, okay? He's far removed from getting the chain put on him in the private jet. He's far removed from those days. This is another quarterback coming off an Achilles injury.
Bingo. You hit the nail on the head there.
What is happening? Like, I get it. We are just podcasters who watch sports and analyze sports. We're not making decisions in these front offices. We're not paying these guys. But God dang it, like, it's not that hard to see. It's really not that hard to see. So with that being said, man, very successful take for us with Caleb Williams, because that spotlight, it was way too much for him. He had hard knocks in his locker room.
When has that ever worked out for any team? Hard knocks coming into the building, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
but I do. I have my one hot take or successful take of the season, and that would be, give Derrick Henry the ball. Okay, I've been screaming that since week 1. All right, the Ravens rolled out the gate slow because they wanted to have this
finesse fun party.
No. We're gonna play old school football. Listen, if I got a tank, if I got an 18-wheeler, if I got a bus, I'm gonna drive that thing until the wheels fall off. And guess what? It's gonna get us there exactly where we want to go.
Well, especially if you have a Ferrari next to him.
Come on.
That makes it even easier.
Come on. If you line anything up in front of that 18-wheeler, if you line anything up in front of that bus, I'm going to take my money on the bus.
Yeah.
It's not too many things that a bus has ever crashed into that one. So by all means. And not only is like he's a bus with a Ferrari engine. Like, this guy has a motor. You know what I'm saying? He's not just some old school yellow cheese wagon. All right, this guy is he moves. All right, and I think he has a lot of game left in him. But also he proved like there's value in the running back position. We had this debate.
There is.
We had this debate during the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Where we
Mid to late.
Yeah, where we talked about the value of positions in the game, and I think that
they're showing their value right now.
Yeah, by
sure.
by all means. So yeah, that's my one successful take from the season, and we see exactly where they are. We're gonna see what happens when they get to the playoffs, man.
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to it.
that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's move to our last segment, cheers and jeers.
Yeah, man.
You want to start it off?
I'll start it off with a cheers, man. I'll start it off with a cheers. And I think this was a successful take for you as well, man. Congratulations and cheers to the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix making it to the playoffs. Were you not on the Bo Nix train? You were not on the Bo Nix train.
I should have been, because Sean Payton is that good. And I should have known that. Here, I'll just give you a little nugget here.
Okay.
In 2021, you know who the Saints starting quarterback was for the first 7 games of the season?
In 2021.
2021.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was his head coach?
Sean Payton.
How did Jameis Winston look this year in totality?
In totality?
Yeah, in totality.
I don't know. He played for the Browns, so who knows? I can't evaluate that.
Okay.
I can't give him a fair evaluation. But I will
let's think about Jameis Winston's entire career.
I will say off the field, he was stellar.
All right, fair enough.
He looked very good off the field, and he was very entertaining. All right.
You know how we don't love numbers, but they can be an indicator sometimes.
Okay.
So for those 7 games during that season, in the 2021 season, when Jameis Winston was the starter for the Saints and Sean Payton was his head coach, top 5 passer rating in the NFL. Jameis Winston.
But Jameis Winston is that good, though. He's going to make a lot of mistakes, but he's going to make mistakes with the right thought in mind. All right. So it's almost like when you think you know an answer to a question that the teacher asked and you just blurt it out, but you're loud and wrong. That's Jameis Winston. Oh, my receiver's going to cut this way, so I'm going to throw it and it's going to be a home run. And then it's an interception. So he makes mistakes with the right thought in mind, which makes sense on why he's still in the NFL. He's not in the NFL because he's just an average player. He's a ball player, and he's going to go out there and he's going to do everything he can to win you a game.
Yeah.
So,
and I like him, but I'm just saying nobody thinks he's a.
But this conversation isn't about Jameis Winston.
It's not.
We did sidetrack, but it's not about Jameis.
The conversation is that I should have seen this coming because Bo Nix has Sean Payton, and I got to give Bo Nix some credit too. The guy has balled out to some degree.
Yeah.
So you go ahead with that one.
No, I will say congratulations to them, and the only reason I'm giving them cheers is because they made it into the playoffs and they went out and handled business the way they needed to. It was against a second to third string team in the Kansas City Chiefs. But they did what they needed to do. Bo Nix jumped out the gate and he had like 3 touchdowns in the first half. So
took care of business.
They did something that a team that I'm not gonna name didn't do. Okay.
You already expressed yourself. It's all right.
So with that being said, man, congratulations to them.
Okay. Yeah. So my first cheers goes to the Panthers.
Yeah.
Because they finished the season on a high note, and Bryce Young's playing good football right now.
Get out of here.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, congratulations. Cheers to them. Cheers to them.
Like you said earlier, I see through heart eyes lens. Right. So when Bryce Young gets picked number 1 overall, I'm rooting for the guy. Right. So to see him struggle in his first season, and then to see head coach Dave Canales come in, clean some things up, refine his game, and play. I mean, in the last 5 games of the season, he had 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he dropped 45 on the Falcons.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a jeers to that.
Okay.
Right? Because they went away from Bryce Young and they went to the Red Rocket and Andy Dalton, and then they quickly went back to Bryce Young.
Right.
Like, by all means, like, make up your mind, right? But we did talk about this earlier, and I did say this is something that needs to happen with Trevor Lawrence, which time on the sideline, riding that pine, will make you reevaluate your life.
There you go.
Okay, if you are a true ball player, you understand, like, for those defensive linemen that get pulled out of the game because they jump off sides, when they spend that one play on the sideline, is because it's not like they're not going back in the game. But coach, you jump off sides, coach tell you, come here. Bro, what, smack you on the top of your head. Like, you know what? I'm going to make sure I don't jump off sides ever again, right? So time on the sideline probably helped Bryce Young and help him reevaluate what it was that he was doing at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that he did look a little bit better when he got his second chance around.
Fair.
Because if you are the starter and you get your position taken, it puts a different perspective on you and your career.
For sure.
So
yeah.
While I don't think that Trevor Lawrence's future, and I'm just gonna bring this back full circle. While I don't think that Trevor Lawrence's future is in Jacksonville, I do. Who was his backup?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. We never seen Mac Jones get a chance, right? So had Mac Jones got out there and performed a little bit, or the job, like the last game of the season, you could have did that. Like you didn't have anything to play for. You could have gave Mac Jones the second half. A lot of teams this past weekend were using this as a solid preseason game, right? A lot of teams that's going into the postseason, they're like, okay, we got to get these other people involved because no telling what's going to happen on the other side.
Correct.
So if they need to step in, they need to be ready. So that's why they were getting a lot of live action reps and
that's true.
So forth. So like Carson Wentz, for example.
Sure.
I don't think he went out there and showed a great deal of amazing play.
No.
But at least he got his reps in, and he's not going to go into the postseason cold in case Patrick Mahomes gets hobbled.
That's fair.
Right? And I'm not gonna lie to you, the Ravens, they sprinted through the gate. They didn't play no games. All right. So they played their starters the entire game. And you know, every team is different. Every coach has their own outlook on how they want to go into the postseason. I don't think that was a good move for the Chiefs to bench their starters, by the way.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay.
And that's my take.
All right. We're gonna build on that.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep that under wraps at the moment, but build on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to the next cheers. How about cheers to the Lions? That was the biggest game of the night.
Yes.
Right? Or excuse me, the biggest game of the weekend. It was the only game at night.
Right. That was like probably one of the biggest games of the season.
Yep.
And it was very underwhelming.
They needed to get that number 1 seed. They're all banged up on defense. They're going to be the toughest out in the NFC. I think I haven't looked at the odds yet.
You say they're banged up on the defense?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Mr. Captain Obvious myself.
I couldn't tell.
Well, that's true. They played well.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. They one of the higher ranked teams in the NFL. They made them look like they were lunch meat.
Right.
So I couldn't tell at all.
No, but I haven't looked at the odds yet, but they should be the favorites to win the NFC. With that coaching staff, with that roster, with that home field, I think so.
With that head coach.
Yeah.
And I said this earlier in the season, they're on a mission.
Right.
Dan Campbell is that guy. All right. Andy Reid is that guy. But Dan Campbell, he's not Mr. Bundle Ruski. Okay. He's not out here playing no games. You don't see him on any commercials. I think he's dialed in. Yeah. I think this might be the Lions' year.
Stay tuned. We're gonna have our playoff predictions later on this week.
Yeah, you know what? I might be telling too much. Let me go back. Let me go back to the meeting room and get my thoughts right.
We're gonna keep that one under wraps.
I've said this all year. The Lions,
high on the Lions.
The Lions, they are just that blue collar team. Yeah. They are what the Pittsburgh Steelers want to be.
Oh. Shots fired.
No shots fired because the Steelers are a blue collar team.
True.
But the Lions just do it a lot better.
That's very true.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so I just got one more jeers.
Okay.
Jeers to the Packers. The way they finished the season, man. Christian Watson, torn ACL, done for the year.
Yeah,
Jordan
man.
Love also hurt, hit the funny bone, hit the wrist, all that stuff. No momentum going into their playoff game at Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And that was my preseason Super Bowl pick.
Yeah.
To make the Super Bowl, represent the NFC.
Right.
So
sorry to hear that, by the way.
Well, you'll have to stay tuned for my pick
Okay.
later this week. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an upset there.
He's going with the team that wears blue.
Wait. Okay.
He's going with the team that wears blue.
I'm like Packers, Eagles. Wait a minute.
The Lions. I was referring to the Lions.
Yeah, I had that matchup on my mind. That's why I was thinking that way. But yeah, no, to sum it up, cheers to the Packers right now.
Yeah.
They need to find themselves. They need to put together a good game plan, and they got to come ready for the Eagles. Whoever's starting in quarterback, because Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
He's probably going to play. But what's your final jeer?
Man, my final jeer would be to all the teams that had a chance to make the playoffs and didn't make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. The Bengals, the Dolphins.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. The Falcons.
The Falcons, what a disappointment. I had high hopes for the Falcons, man, but they shot themselves in the foot. Arthur Blank. Another one of these old people who's just standing in their own way of greatness. All right. And also, I'm not even going to get into my conversation. Never mind. I was going to say something about the NFL and all these professional sports, but never mind. I'm going to Peyton, can you wrap us up, sign us out, and take us home, man?
For sure. Guys, stay tuned later on this week. We want to get out our playoff predictions. Again, we appreciate the support. We appreciate all you guys tuning in and watching. And like we always say, we want you all to be a part of the conversation. We want to hear what y'all think about all these teams, all these sports. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Another great episode.
For sure. You make a great point about that, though, man. If you guys are tuned in, man, please let us know who you have winning the first round, who they're going to play in the second round. Who's going to be in the AFC and NFC championship? Yeah, give us your bracket, man. Who do you have winning the Super Bowl? All right, the playoffs are set. We're going to do an episode about the playoffs in its entirety sometime soon, sometime this week. Okay, but guys, let us know who you want, who you think is going to go all the way, who's going to be hoisting the trophy, the Lombardi trophy at the end of the season. And I'm really excited for the playoffs, man. Peyton, you did a great job of wrapping us up. I appreciate you.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Yes, it's always a pleasure when we get together and talk ball. So, yeah, man, please leave a comment. Let us know exactly how you feel, and we'll be active in the comment section, the chat box. With that being said, man, we are the Sportaholics, and until next time,
stay tuned.
Let's do it.
Yes.